Walk with me. So, two things I know to be true. One, you have a gift. Actually, you, and I mean literally you, have many gifts. But the second thing I know to be true is how come sometimes we as individuals are blind to our own gifts. Like it feels like we're the last to know. Like everybody around us, our family, our friends, our colleagues, like they know. But somehow, sometimes we don't see our own gifts. I want to expand on this conversation today. I shared something similar in a reel on social media recently and just got an overwhelming reply. I wanted to dive a little deeper into this conversation on what I mean by gifts. Why? Oh, why are they so hard for us to see, to accept, to step into, to be? How can we do that? And what's the result? What's the outcome? What's the ultimate benefit when we do? And I think this is going to be one of our best conversations today, just a feeling. So feel free to share this with anybody that comes to your heart, because everyone has gifts and very few of us are really tapping into them, living them every day. So feel free to share this to your feed or tag someone that comes to your heart in the comments. And if you're catching this live or on the replay, say hello. You know I'm gonna ask. Open up that chat box, that comment thread. Tell me where you're from. Tell me a gift you know you have. Right here, right now. Tell me a gift. Tell all of us a gift. Don't be shy, be proud. And if you're new to the crew, welcome. We got a pretty global audience. I'm always amazed to see all the different countries in the comments and in my DMs. Let us know where you're from. If you're here for the first time, maybe someone shared this with you. Welcome. We walk together around the same time, same place live, and just share inspired thoughts that help us move to our own meant to become better every day. And it's a group, it's a community, so share your thoughts, please. Perspective, insights. I read every comment, it adds value to all of us, so don't be shy. But I want to talk about this. What do I mean by gift? I think it's so funny, the term, oh, that person's gifted. They're so gifted. We're all gifted. We all are gifted. And if nobody's told you that recently, I'm here to tell you, hey, you're gifted. We're all gifted. And that's the absolute truth. We're all gifted in different ways. And that's what makes life fun. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes the world work. Man, would things be boring if everyone on this planet was gifted in the same way. If everyone in your peer group was gifted in the same way. Man, would that be a boring life. The diversity of our gifts is what's awesome. It's what's amazing. It's literally what makes the world go round. And you are gifted. You know, every one of us have different talents. Another word we use for gifts. Have different strengths. Another word we use for gifts. And What I mean by gifts is they are innate. We were built with those, installed in our DNA. They are part of our potential before we were even born. They are natural. They are God-given. They are a part of us. And you can't do anything about that. And you know what? You can't change that. You've been given gifts. I'm not talking about skills that are learned and developed. Those are important. I'm not talking about discipline and consistency. You do anything every day, you're bound to get better. I'm not talking about all of that. And there's a place and a significance for all of that. But I'm talking about gifts. Natural gifts that are built into you no matter what. And we all have them. And sometimes we're so blind to what our own gifts are. How is that even possible? Like, if we had a superpower, I like Marvel movies, anybody else? Like, if we had a superpower, like if we had x-ray vision, or we could fly, you know, extra human strength, invisibility, super speed, all the things my kids talk about, like, we'd probably know it, right? Like, we would recognize that we could do that. Yet we have these superpowers that make us different, make us unique, that are our advantage in us being us, that we don't even know we have, and we often ignore. Kind of crazy if you think about it. Makes me wonder and ask those questions like, why are sometimes we the last to see the thing that makes me me? And the only answer I can give is sometimes things are so natural, so effortless compared to other things, that we write them off. Because for some reason we've been conditioned, taught, brought up environments that have drilled into our mind that it has to be hard. It must be difficult, especially us Americans, right? It must be a grind. Gotta hustle, hustle, hustle. We're taught all these things that in order to achieve, grow, progress, it's gotta be painful. And so I think when something comes with less pain, with more ease, we write it off as, oh, that must not be valuable, must not be important. Let me focus on the things that are tough. And so we're blind to the things that we're actually meant to do. I got so fascinated with the Gallup Strength Finder tool about a decade ago. John C. Maxwell turned me on to it personally, and was such an eye-opening tool for myself and just self-awareness. And I loved it. I use it with all teams I help lead, from employees to field leadership or community leadership to, you know, friends and family. And it's a great tool. And I recommend, if you haven't gone through it, go through it. Just search Gallup Strength Finder. It's an online assessment. I don't get paid to promote it. I just love it. But it gets into the concept of strengths. And I'm using the word gifts here. And it talks about how those gifts are natural, are innate, never change. And your ability to excel in those areas is exponentially greater than trying to excel in other areas. And we hear terms about focusing in our gift zone, right? Or focusing in our strength zone. And I think sometimes we just don't see these things because they come more effortlessly. And if we go a layer deeper, back to our programming and just back to how we're taught and how we're brought up, not only are we taught that things are difficult and must be painful and must take work and grind and grit, and there are places for all of that, but I don't think all of that unlocks our gifts. I think our gifts were there before all of that. We're also taught to fixate on the things that we're not good at. You know, I see myself even now with my son in first grade and having his first quote unquote report cards, and you know, he's not letters yet, he's numbers, but I even find myself, and I'm aware of this programming and these systems and these structures, and conscious of it more so than most, I would think. And I find myself looking at his numbers and instantly gravitating to, the ones where he's quote unquote behind on, and not being excited and complimenting and reinforcing all the things that he's ahead at. And even when we're aware, we still fall into these structures, because all around we're taught to fixate on weakness. We're taught to focus on what we're not doing well. We're taught to mitigate risk, right? That is what we're taught. And so we apply that in our own life, I think, and we write off the things that come easy, and we fixate and focus on the things that come hard, trying to make ourselves better in the very areas that we weren't even designed or created to do. And so not only are we blind to the things that become effortless, we put our time, our energy, our life focused on areas we weren't even created for. And then to go one layer deeper, and I think comparison has always been a part of our DNA, a competitive nature, which can be a great thing, but amplified now with social media. And we see the Instagram life or the TikTok life, the 1 of 1%, right? The moments that are amazing. And we don't realize the journey behind those moments and what's really going on in someone's life or someone's mind in any given moment. And then we instantly compare where we're at to our perception of where somebody else is at, not even knowing their reality. And this heightened or hyper comparison all day long, every day, every time we scroll, every time we flick, every time we swipe, is just amplifying the issue of continuing to get us to focus on the things we don't excel maybe as well as others at. And now you amplify all of this. We don't see what we're designed for. We're taught to fixate on the things we're not good at. And now we're comparing ourselves to everyone everywhere's best picture and constantly wondering why we're not as great at everything we see on the planet Earth as everybody else. And talk about an unrealistic expectation that man, we feel like we're less than in an infinite amount of areas as shown to us by our feed every day. There's an awesome meme that recirculates every now and then. I'm sure many of you have seen it. It's an image of a fish in a fishbowl right below a tree. And up in the tree is a monkey. And the monkey is looking down at the fish and thinking, man, I wish I could swim. And the fish is looking up at the monkey and saying, man, I wish I could climb a tree. And it's such a perfect depiction of what we do as people, where the monkey doesn't even see his skill and his ability and his freedom to swing from branch to branch, how he was designed to be able to do that with so much, dexterity, and the fish doesn't even able to see that the fish can swim, it can breathe underwater. Both have innate gifts, but both are sitting there wishing and wanting the others and then feeling bad that they don't have that skill. Man, don't we do that every day. We need to make a shift and to realize that we've been given certain gifts for a reason. And we need to start doubling down on the gifts that we have been given and focusing on what we were created for. The things that come effortless come that way for a reason. The things that ignite you for a reason. The things that excite you for a reason. The things that start to flow for a reason. You were created with all of that for a reason, to spend your life fixating on everything that is left out of you instead of being blessed and grateful and reinforcing on everything that was put within you would be the ultimate waste, not of a week, not of a month, not of a year, the waste of a lifetime. The biggest disaster would be to spend an entire lifetime. All you got, that's it. What's greater than money? What's greater than success? What's greater than all the things that you want? What's greater than all of that? Your life. Having your entire life lost pursuing a path you weren't even meant to walk down. Chasing a path you weren't even meant to climb. Wishing you were great at a path you weren't even designed to go. And you guys, I think that's why a lot of people feel the way they feel, like not alive, stuck, stale, complacent, depressed, anxious, stressed, anxiety. Why do we feel all of these? I think a big reason is we're stuck down a path we weren't meant for. We got to shift down the path we were designed for. And it starts with the fact that you have gifts. You have gifts. We all have gifts. And to be conscious and aware and proud of the gifts you have. And to make the shift to give those gifts out to the world. You know, I was prompted to share all of this from a DM I got from my aunt. Hey, Aunt Rita, if you're watching out there. One of my favorite aunts, because she just lives life with her and her family. I mean, always positive. I don't get a chance to see them that much, but through social media, we get to be buddies. I love social media. With so many of you, we get to have these relationships ongoing, even though we don't have physical proximity. And she sent me a quote in my DM the other day that said, to be gifted doesn't mean you were given something. It means you have something to give. And I'd never heard it put that way, and I want to share that with all of you today because you are gifted. But to be gifted doesn't mean you are given something. It means you have something to give. In other words, the reason you have those gifts is not for you. It's not a selfish thing. It's not an ego thing. It's not a pride thing. We all have gifts. The reason you've been given those gifts is so you can give those gifts for others. Because that's why you have them. It's not a you thing. It's an everyone else thing. It's not a selfish thing. It's a selfless thing, right? It's a contribution thing. It's a service thing. And to ignore the gifts you were given is not only a waste of your own life, it's not fair to the rest of us out here who could be benefiting from the gifts that you can give, benefiting to the gifts that you can give to your family or your community or your schools or your work or your passions or your businesses in any area you want to direct those gifts, whether it's one person or the world. That's the point. And to deprive us of your gifts, well, that's the selfish thing. So don't be afraid to step into what you're great at and reinforce all of that. Because it's not about you. You doing that is about what you can do for others. It's about the impact that you can make. And here's what I'll tell you from experience, and it's a weird thing. When you operate outside of the gifts that you're given, you're constantly pushed by pain. It's tough. There is a struggle. It is a grind. There is a hustle. All those words. It is. Why? Because you're down a path, a rocky path, a huge hill you're not even equipped or designed to climb. And you guys, that's a life where you're constantly going to be pushed by pain. You're pushed by pain because something and someone and somewhere is trying to tell you, like, yo, you're going the wrong direction. You're climbing a mountain, but it's the wrong mountain. And when you start to step into your gift zone, the things that you were designed for, you're no longer pushed by pain. You start to be pulled by a purpose. And what's interesting, when you're pulled by a purpose, it's a different feeling. It's a different energy. It's a different flow. And I'll tell you, you know when you're going the wrong direction because of the pain that starts to come. And you know when you're going the right direction because of the purpose that starts to pull. And it doesn't make sense. Seemingly disconnected things are all connected. You're in a conversation and you say no, right, at work, to something that isn't your gift zone. And even though, the person requesting gets frustrated, you feel good because you said no to that so you could say yes to something you're great at. And because you did that at work, now all of a sudden something great happens with your spouse or your kids at home. They're seemingly disconnected, but they're all connected. You do something for yourself and you stand up, and instead of saying yes or people pleasing like you always do, you put a foot down. Right? And you put a foot down in there and nobody else sees you do that. But you feel good about yourself because you're being yourself. Then all of a sudden, boom, that thing at work that you've been waiting for happens. It seems like they're disconnected, but it's all connected when you're moving in a direction of purpose. It's just the way it works. Don't try to figure it out. When you meet those people that you're like, man, it just seems like everything is working for them. It seems like they have the Midas touch. What they touch turns to gold. Wow, it just seems like they have a star over their head. All these sayings we give to people that are in flow. They're in flow because they're walking in their purpose and they're pulled by purpose. They're focused on their gifts, not fixated on their weaknesses. And they're sharing those gifts with others because that's what they were created for. That's why all of the things seem to work out. It's not about them. It's about them just doing what they were created for others. And that's why things connect. You guys, I'm giving you the secret. And I know you know this secret because I'm sure there's been time in your life where you were focused in a gift zone and you felt this feeling. And there's been time in all of our lives where we're not, and we get stuck because of how we're programmed or the situation or the circumstance, and all of those things come together and it's pain, 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 and we're disconnected from the path we're going and stuff doesn't work out. We can't figure out why until we get back in alignment with what we were created for. Because I don't know what your belief system is. I'm not here to push mine on yours, but at some point you got to believe there's something greater than just us being a bag of organs walking around a bunch of dirt, right? And imagine whatever your belief system is, the universe, the world, God, the creator, whatever term you want to give. Imagine just what if you were created for a certain reason, given certain gifts for a certain reason. Those gifts were given for you to make a certain impact. And you're spending your life not using that, not doing that. Well, man, whatever energy out there is going to be super frustrated. Like, yo, wake up. You're the fish meant to swim. Stop trying to be a monkey. You're a monkey meant to climb. Stop trying to be a fish. Stop beating yourself up because you're not as good as the monkey when you're meant to swim. Stop comparing yourself to the fish who has gills. You got long arms and legs. Be blessed for what you have. Stop focusing on what was left out. Focus on what was left in and use those for a greater purpose to make a contribution to the world. To be gifted doesn't mean you are given something. It means you have something to give. And if you focus on those things, the gifts you were given, and then for the reason you were given to make an impact, man, watch what happens and how things start to connect. Check out the day today. Sun is out. Look at that. There's the view. So 2 things I know to be true. You have gifts. And hopefully today's conversation makes us less blind to the gifts that we have. And guys, I know you're surrounded by people that have gifts that need this message today. Shares this to your feed. Drop it in the comments. You can point people to the podcast. And my hope for you this week is there's a new level of awareness on what you were created for. And maybe you stop going down the path you're not meant for and stop climbing the mountain that you're not meant to climb and maybe redirect down a path you are meant for. And I promise you, not only will you be happier, more fulfilled, more alive, but so will the people around you because the impact you'll be able to make is going to be exponential. That's my hope for you.